The station's artificial dawn flickered once before settling into a pale imitation of morning, and the human man decided that was close enough to breakfast time. He sat on a cargo crate that definitely did not belong to him, peeling open a vacuum-sealed packet with his teeth and muttering about how civilization had peaked before everything started tasting like compressed regret. He didn't notice the woman at first. That was not unusual. People rarely noticed her when she didn't wish it, and today she very much didn't wish it. She stood a short distance away, long ears tucked back beneath a loose hood, watching him with the careful stillness of someone accustomed to being watched instead. The station hummed around them, power conduits whispering, distant engines coughing into life, the faint shimmer of a jump gate warming up like a bored god. None of it concerned her as much as the small, reckless act unfolding in front of her. He looked up mid-bite, crumbs floating lazily between them in the station's adjusted gravity. "Oh, hi," he said, as if unexpected alien encounters were a mild inconvenience like bad weather. "You want some?" The question landed harder than any threat ever had. She hesitated, calculating reflexively, running through probabilities, consequences, ancient laws etched into memory by tutors long dead. No one offered her food. Food was presented. Food was tested. Food was consumed under observation. Food was a tool, yet here it was, extended toward her in a flimsy packet labeled in 3 languages and one enthusiastic cartoon mascot. "I don't know what that is," she said carefully. "Neither do I," he replied cheerfully. "That's half the adventure. It's supposed to be spicy chicken, but last time it tasted like warm cardboard with opinions." Despite herself, she made a small sound that might have been a laugh. It startled her more than him. He smiled, triumphant, as if he had successfully negotiated a treaty. She accepted the packet, fingers brushing his for a fraction of a second. He did not flinch. That, too, was new. Her long ears twitched, a reflex she forgot to suppress. "You're not from around here," he observed, squinting at her ears. "No offense, the ears are cool, very aerodynamic." "They are not for aerodynamics," she said automatically, then paused. "No offense." "None taken. I've been accused of worse things. Mostly crimes I didn't commit. Some I did, but only because the signs were confusing." She sampled the food. The universe did not end. That was disappointing in a way. Instead, there was salt, heat, and something oddly comforting about its simplicity. She had eaten at tables that orbited suns, consumed meals engineered to symbolize conquest or unity or divine right. This tasted like survival and stubbornness. "You share food with strangers often?" she asked. "Only the ones who look like they haven't eaten," he said. "And sometimes raccoons, space raccoons, very aggressive negotiators." She watched him as if he were a strange anomaly, a data point that refused to align. He did not ask her species. He did not ask her purpose. He did not bow. He did not record her biometric signature or summon security drones. Somewhere, far beyond the station's hull, entire fleets adjusted their positions in silent obedience to her will, waiting for a command she was not giving. "My people would consider this dangerous," she said. "My people consider it rude not to offer snacks," he replied. "We are a complicated species." They sat in companionable quiet for a moment, the station's rhythm filling the space between words. She felt something unfamiliar settle in her chest, lighter than duty, heavier than curiosity. "What are you traveling for?" he asked, wiping his hands on his jacket. She considered the truth, all of it vast and impossible, the weight of crowns and galaxies and bloodlines stretching back to the first stars. Then she looked at the empty food packet and chose something smaller. "I am taking a break," she said. He nodded as if that explained everything. "Yeah, the galaxy does that to you." And for the first time in centuries, the Queen of the Galaxy agreed with a stranger who had nothing to offer her except a meal and an unremarkable, dangerous kind of kindness. They did not part after the food was gone, which surprised both of them for different reasons. He because he usually moved on before conversations developed expectations, And she because entire civilizations bent themselves around her presence, and yet here she was, lingering because leaving felt impolite. The station lights shifted toward artificial noon, and somewhere overhead a customs alarm wailed, immediately followed by an announcement apologizing for the alarm and blaming it on a software update that had feelings. So, he said, rocking back on the crate until it complained, "You got a name, break taker." She almost said it, the true one, the syllables that could activate dormant fleets and wake ancient treaties from their sleep. Instead, she tasted the word and set it down gently. "You may call me Era." "That sounds expensive," he said. "I'm John, it's very cheap. You can buy it in bulk." Era watched a maintenance drone drift past, its sensors briefly pausing on her before flicking away, overridden by a command she had not consciously issued. John noticed the hesitation. "You look like you're judging it." "I was deciding whether it would survive an encounter with my people's engineering standards," she said. "And it would not," she replied solemnly. "Moment of silence," he said, bowing his head for a second. "Gone too soon, replaced by something with more blinking lights and less personality." They began to walk, not toward anywhere important, which was exactly the sort of direction John preferred. Corridors curved in impossible ways, gravity subtly shifting as the station adjusted to incoming traffic from 3 incompatible star systems. Era moved with an ease that ignored the adjustments, her balance perfect. John stumbled once and blamed the floor. "You travel alone?" she asked. "Mostly," he said. "I tried traveling with a crew once. Turns out I'm allergic to authority and shared schedules." She smiled at that before remembering she was supposed to be reserved. The smile stayed anyway. "My life is the opposite." "That explains the posture," he said. "Very regal, like you're about to announce a parade." She stiffened. "I am not regal." "Sure you are," he said. "You walk like chairs apologize when you sit on them." Era stopped. Around them, the station continued its endless movement, unaware that several long-range observation arrays had just focused on her location, their operators deeply confused by what they were seeing. She studied John's face for mockery, for fear, for calculation. There was none, only curiosity and a hint of amusement at his own cleverness. "In my culture," she said slowly, "that would be considered accurate." "Hey, I knew it," he said. "Called it. So what do you actually do when you're not taking breaks?" She searched for an answer that wouldn't fracture reality. "I make decisions." "That sounds exhausting," he said. "I avoid those whenever possible." "They affect billions," she added. He winced. "Yeah, okay, that's a lot of pressure. I get stressed if my decisions affect lunch." They shared a laugh that echoed oddly in the corridor. Era felt the weight of the galaxy shift again, not because of a command, but because she didn't want the moment to end. Somewhere far away, an admiral argued with a priest scientist about omens and snack wrappers appearing in surveillance feeds. John leaned against a railing overlooking a transparent section of hull, stars sliding past as ships entered and exited faster-than-light corridors. "You know," he said, "I always thought aliens would be scarier." "Disappointed?" She asked. "A little," he admitted, "but the ears help, very mysterious." She reached up and adjusted the hood, failing to hide them. "They hear things others do not." "Like secrets." "Like sincerity," she said, surprising herself. He nodded, suddenly thoughtful. "Then you picked a bad place. This station lies constantly." She looked out at the stars, at the infinite territories that answered to her will, and felt something dangerously close to peace. For the first time in centuries, she was not a symbol or a ruler or a law made flesh. She was simply Era, standing beside a human who joked at the edge of the universe, unaware that the balance of power was quietly, impossibly changing. They were halfway through a disagreement about whether Starship coffee was a crime or merely a warning when the station fell silent. Not the comfortable silence of systems behaving themselves, but the sharp, impossible kind that arrived when too many safeguards disengaged at once. John looked around. "That's new," he said. Either we're about to die or someone important just showed up. Era closed her eyes for a fraction of a second. She had felt it coming minutes ago, a tightening in the fabric of probability, the gentle insistence of a summons she could no longer ignore. She had hoped, foolishly, that it might forget her. It never did. The air folded. Light bent into a precise geometry that hurt to look at if one didn't know how to look properly. Figures emerged, armored not for battle but for reverence, their movements synchronized by centuries of ritual. The nearest one dropped to a knee, then another, then the entire corridor followed suit as if gravity itself had learned manners. "Your radiance," they said as one. John blinked. "Huh," he said. "Okay, that answers that." Era opened her eyes. The station systems reawakened under her attention, alarms quieting, gravity smoothing itself back into place like a chastened child. "You were not meant to come here," she said, not unkindly. "Our search algorithms detected an anomaly," the kneeling figure replied. "Snack sharing your radiance." John pointed at himself. "I knew that would get me in trouble one day." She turned to him then, really turned, and let the weight of who she was settle into the space between them. He felt it, the way one feels a storm before the rain, vast and undeniable. His mouth opened, then closed again. "You're though," he began. "Yes," she said, "I am." He nodded slowly. "Right, that tracks. The ears were a clue, also the kneeling." "I am sorry," she said, "for not telling you." He considered this, scratching his chin. "You could have mentioned it. But I guess it would have made lunch weird." Era laughed, a sound that rippled outward, unnoticed by all but those who knew how to feel the galaxy shift. The kneeling figures glanced at one another, deeply unsettled. "I must return," she said. "There are decisions waiting, systems to balance, wars to prevent." "Of course there are," John said. "Galaxy's very needy." She hesitated. "You changed something," she said softly. "In me, in how I see everyone." He shrugged. "I just shared food." "In my universe," she said, "that is never just." She gestured, and a small device formed in her palm, humming with compressed possibility. She pressed it into his hand. "If you ever need me," she said, "for any reason at all." He looked at it, then back at her. "Does it also heat leftovers?" She smiled. "I will have it